A day out at the amusement park is sure to bring its fill of chills, thrills, and spills. However, some days, shit goes completely sideways, pear-shaped, and your family day at the fucking fun park turns into a day of kills. Here are 6 of the most gruesome and horrific theme park disasters of all time. The Dreamworld Disaster was a tragic accident that occurred on October 25, 2016, at the Dreamworld theme park on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. The incident claimed the lives of 4 people and is infamous as Australia's most horrific theme park disaster. The Thunder River Rapids ride was a family-friendly water attraction on which circular rafts carrying up to 6 passengers drifted along an artificial river. The ride was a favourite of small children who were too sissy-bitch to try the other rides. That fateful day began like any other, with rafts floating along the simulated rapids. Among the passengers was a raft carrying 2 families, including 4 adults and 2 small children. Both families laughed and chatted happily as their raft approached the conveyor belt that would take them back to their starting point. Suddenly, a malfunction caused a water pump to fail, halting the flow of water and leaving their raft stranded. Another raft full of passengers rammed them hard from behind, flipping the raft over. Screams pierced the air as witnesses watched in helpless horror as the riders were dumped into the gaping jaws of the grinding gears of the conveyor belt. Somehow the 2 children were miraculously thrown clear of the carnage, but were forced to watch as their parents were ground into mincemeat by the metal machinery. All 4 adults were killed almost instantly. The 2 children survived physically, but were psychologically scarred for life from the holiday horror. The disaster sent shockwaves across the country, sparking grief, outrage, and questions about how such a catastrophe could occur on a fucking family-friendly ride. Investigations revealed a grim tale of systemic failures. The ride had a history of mechanical issues, with previous incidents and warnings ignored. Safety protocols were found woefully inadequate, and emergency shutdown systems were either unavailable or ineffective. The incident led to massive fines and undisclosed settlements for the families. Dreamworld was temporarily closed and the Thunder River Rapids ride dismantled. Despite this, Dreamworld never fully recovered from the deplorable disaster, its reputation forever shit-stained. The Verrückt waterslide tragedy happened on August 7, 2016, at the Schlitterbahn Water Park in Kansas City and is one of the most gruesome accidents in water park history. The record-breaking Verrückt ride, towering over 150 feet in the sky, which is taller than Niagara Falls, was designed to be the biggest fuck-off waterslide that the world has ever seen. The word Verrückt literally means insane in the membrane in German, and Schlitterbahn loosely translates to train of shit, so you can essentially see where this is all headed. On a sweltering Kansas City summer day, a group of riders climbed into the inflatable raft at the summit of Verrückt. Among them was 10-year-old Caleb Schwab, the son of 32nd Secretary of State of Kansas, Scott Schwab, an otherwise utterly unremarkable lump of lying layabout political lard. The raft started down the first slippery slope of the slide, surpassing speeds of 70 miles per hour. Then something went horribly wrong. The raft, rather than remaining securely on its path, shot into the air like a missile, mashing into the metal netting meant to contain it. Caleb, seated in the front, was instantly decapitated, in a superb slice that sashimi chefs salivate over, his lifeless body sprawling onto 2 women riding in the seat behind, really fucking up their day. News of the tragedy spread faster than Ebola, with the world wondering in disbelief. Investigations revealed a chilling tale of hubris and negligence. The ride's designers were dismally deficient in the engineering expertise required for such a complex creation. Verrückt's construction had been rushed to meet an arbitrary television deadline. Safety testing was grossly inadequate, with Schlitterbahn staff well aware of the ride's tendency to randomly direct rafts into the fucking stratosphere. The Schwab family received a reported $20 million payout. Scott Schwab was criticized for taking advantage of Texas law, which permitted him to receive the colossal compensation rather than Kansas law that he, as a state lawmaker, voted for in 2014, which would have capped damages at $300,000. Schlitterbahn Water Park was ruined financially and shut its doors in 2018. The Battersea Big Dipper disaster occurred on May 30, 1972 at the Battersea Park Fun Fair in London, England. It remains one of the worst amusement park accidents in British history, claiming 5 lives and injuring 13 others. The Big Dipper, a beloved but aging relic of a ride, its wooden tracks creaking under the weight of countless children over the years, was an icon of post-war amusement, offering the louts of London the load of adrenaline they lusted for. But beneath its nostalgic charm lay years of maintenance neglect and mechanical vulnerability, a perilous combination that culminated in catastrophe. On that fatal afternoon, as the rickety roller coaster began its customary climb to the crest of the ride's first drop, the chain mechanism that pulled the cars upward suddenly snapped. The coaster careened backwards with sickening speed. Giggles of joy turned into screams of sheer pants-shitting terror as the runaway roller coaster barreled back down the tracks, smashing into the wooden barriers, ripping riders from their seats. The sickening screams of survivors were soon drowned out by the sounds of sirens as emergency responders rushed to the scene. 5 children lost their lives that day. Their families, gutted by grief, mourned the unimaginable loss, their pain echoing all over England. The disaster led to the immediate closure and dismantlement of the Big Dipper. A report after the crash found 51 faults on the ride. The ride manager and engineer were subsequently tried for manslaughter, but the slippery gypsies were acquitted. The funfair never recovered from the tragedy and closed permanently in 1974. Tragedy struck in June 1983 at the Kings Island amusement park near Cincinnati, Ohio, in what has become known as Black Sunday in Carney folklore. 22-year-old Timmy Binning of Mariemont was playing silly buggers with his friends at Biergarten Lake. As he went to splash his friend, he was jolted by an electric shock and fell into the water. A faulty underwater pump had electrified the water, turning the tranquil pond into a silent death trap. Without hesitation, Binning's 21-year-old friend Willie Heathcote launched himself into the water in a daring David Hasselhoffian dive, attempting to rescue his pal. Willie was instantly electrocuted by the high-voltage current and proceeded to join his friend at the bottom of the pool, spazzing out in a grotesque electric jig. Park security guard Darrell Robertson, who witnessed the event, figured that the laws of physics did not apply to him and thought he could save the poor pair of paralyzed pool ornaments. Robertson was also instantaneously electrocuted and died shitting his pants. Somehow, Timmy Binning managed to claw his way to safety and was rushed to hospital with severe burns to his arm and neck. Later that night, another fun park fuckstick was tragically killed in a totally unrelated accident. Candy Taylor, a 32-year-old woman from Toledo, had been drinking heavily and decided to board the Flight Commander ride, apparently deciding that combining gin and gravity-defying gyrations was a great idea. Unfortunately, she was so swizzled that she forgot to fasten her harness, and she fell 60 feet to her death when the ride flipped upside down. These are just 2 of the tragedies in Kings Island's long litany of lethal incidents. Over the years, further freak fatalities include a ranger who was mauled to death by his lions, a man who fell to his death attempting to scale the replica Eiffel Tower, a man who broke his neck high-diving into a shallow fountain, as well as a man who was struck by lightning in the car park. Disturbingly, Kings Island Fun Park is still operational today, though it really fucks me why. The MindBender roller coaster disaster occurred on June 14, 1986, at the Fantasyland amusement park located within the West Edmonton Mall in Alberta, Canada. 3 passengers lost their lives, and many more were injured. It remains one of Canada's most infamous amusement park disasters. The MindBender roller coaster was crown jewel of Fantasyland, a steel titan boasting triple loops and breakneck speeds. It was marketed as the pinnacle of thrill rides, promising an unforgettable experience, and for unfated few, this promise turned into a horrifying reality. On a seemingly ordinary warm June evening, the Fantasyland amusement park was bustling with excitement, with many lined up to mount the MindBender. As one train completed its first loop, the final car completely detached, crashing into a support structure before plummeting to the ground. 3 passengers, 2 men and 1 woman, were slung from their seats, plunging to the shopping mall floor below, splattering on the tiles as shoppers screamed in sheer horror. A 4th man suffered severe injuries, but survived. Many other passengers on the train experienced minor injuries, as well as severe psychological trauma. An investigation revealed that the accident was caused by mechanical failure due to poor maintenance and improper assembly. The bolts securing the rear axle were not properly tightened, leading to the catastrophic failure. Additionally, there were no redundant safety features in place to prevent roller coaster derailments. The manufacturer, Schwarzkopf Industries, had previously issued safety warnings about the ride, but they were reportedly not fully implemented by park operators. The MindBender was temporarily closed following the accident, but reopened in 1987 with enhanced safety measures and continues to operate to this day, though the memory of the tragedy will forever be burned into the brains of the Canadian public. Disaster struck on July 19, 2013, a sweltering summer evening at Six Flags Amusement Park in Arlington, Texas. Rosa Esparza, a 52-year-old mother of two, fell to her death while riding the 14-story, mile-long New Texas Giant, the tallest steel hybrid roller coaster in the world. Esparza, a morbidly obese behemoth of a broad, boarded the New Texas Giant together with her son and her daughter in anticipation of a rollickingly rad roller coaster ride. Before the ride began, eyewitnesses reported that Esparza had complained to staff that her safety lap bar was not properly secured. It seems that staff could not get the safety bar down far enough over the old girl's gigantic gut, but figured she was crammed into the carriage a tad too tightly to topple out. The roller coaster had scarcely passed the first turn when Esparza's safety bar gave way, and she sailed out of the car, plunging 75 feet, then striking a metal support beam before being smeared across the roof of the honky-tonk tunnel. Her two children watched on helplessly, unable to move from their seats until the ride had returned. Paramedics responded quickly to the accident, but pronounced Esparza dead at the scene. Gerstlauer Amusement Rides, the German company that built the cars for the Texas Giant, disavowed all responsibility for the disaster, commenting that, "I think that perhaps Frau Fraulein hat eins zu many Wiener Schnitzels, ja." Coincidentally, Gerstlauer is German for girth slapper, so they should know a thing or two about fastening fatties to fun park rides. Esparza's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Six Flags and Gerstlauer, and, after a prolonged legal battle, the family reached an undisclosed settlement with both companies. For the next video, click here, and make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and stay disastrous.